So they've decided to jump in and make life difficult. So anyways, good morning. How are you? Today is the 26th of April. It's a Wednesday, so you know it's Kitty Cat moving day. In this case, perhaps sell the cat day. So that's pretty good. All's good in the hood. Another great day to be a currency trader. Loving life, living large. You guys ready to get into it? It's a beautiful day. Henley says it's a wonderful day, huh? Good day in South Africa. How's the rand treating you? Is it falling? I thought that's what rand meant. Look out, it's a rand slide. So welcome to Forex.Today, everybody. Another exciting morning, another great opportunity to be the trader that you want to be. Do you have a mantra? Do you talk to yourself? Well, maybe you're booting up your computer. Do you say, today is the day that I act like the trader I want to become? Today I'm patient. Today I'm disciplined. Today I will not have a significant loss. I will not have a big drawdown. Today I will not blow up my trading account. It's kind of an interesting process because, you're not saying things like, today I'll get filthy stinking rich. You're saying, today I will act like a professional, right? You do that before you go to sleep. Try it in the morning too, I suppose. I mean, we're all different people, but today is that opportunity to be excellent, right? So anyways, hey, let me remind you that trading is risky, not appropriate for everyone. Your past performance, good or bad, is not necessarily indicative of future results. So please stay small, stay humble, focus on the long term, and never risk money you cannot afford to lose. My name is Wayne McDonell. I am the Chief FX Market Strategist for TradersWay.com. Thank you for being a client. We really appreciate you. If you have not yet opened an account, please visit TradersWay.com, and I'll do that right now. TradersWay.com. That didn't work out. I didn't spell it properly. It says, did you mean Traders Way? Yeah, there it is. Please visit TradersWay.com and open up a demo account. It's quick, it's easy. You get to see our back office, how clean and organized it is. You can download MT4, test the speed of our execution, all that kind of stuff. More importantly, you get to be part of a community of fellow traders like you're enjoying right now. Do these sessions 7:30 in the morning every single day, Monday through Friday. First Friday of the month, I'm over at fxstreet.com for Trade Non-Farm Payrolls Live. That webinar I've been doing for 12 years, I think it is, or pretty close to 12 years. Probably 12 years this month. I don't know. Who's tracking? Before that, I was a supermodel. So if you're an ex-supermodel like me and you're looking for a career, the foreign exchange market is perfect for you. All right. So here we are, Wednesday. Still sort of in these tricky areas, right? Right? We're supposed to be taking profits soon. I got a few more pips I need to squeeze out of this stone. What did I say yesterday? Try to get this up to what, 3 3, 4, 5 grand and cash out. Well, we're getting pretty close. So we're at what, 42 and some change. I got to get this up to 43.20. So I'm pretty close. I mean, I could have gotten out last night, but it was sort of, I think it was like Tokyo lunch or something, and I decided just not to do it. But here we are on the beast, still moving along. Everything's going fine. Here's the kill switch. I mean, what I could do is I can move my stop to the kill switch, lock in maybe 100 pips or something. But most likely in New York, I'll have an opportunity to take some profit. But just to to add to the fun, I want to change the template. Okay. And I guess zoom in. And we're now using these pivots here as support. And on the 1 hour, we're still bouncing off the one. Well, what I mean by the one, the 21 on the 1 hour. So we're still technically bullish. And where's the next level? Well, here's the thing. We're already at the projected high for the month. So this is not an easy decision. In fact, I could even move my stop closer and say, look, if we get any lower than that, I need to consider getting out. And then, of course, the ultimate is maybe to put a target here and say, once I get to 222 pips, take my profit. One way or the other, right? Does that make sense? Any questions? Thoughts, concerns? Make sense? Now, if this was August or September, for example, I would not put a limit on this. I like the unlimited upside, but based on seasonality, I don't believe this is going to go up forever. That's it. So I will put a limit on it. And I think I said yesterday that, if it goes up like 300 pips or something or 250, I'll take profit. We're looking at, the fact that we've stretched out of the monthly. I think what could happen is they can have it drop back down. Man, browser problems again. I'm using Firefox, and that used to be the one that used to work all the time, right? If you had problems with browsers, just use Firefox. But now I'm using Firefox, and it's the one with the problems. So, anyways, what else do I got going on here? So I'm just trickling over the 3,000 mark, and I think yesterday when we closed, it was half that, right? I think it was 1,400 or 1,500. So what else we got here? USD yen. La di da. So like just way out, no more pivots. I'm going to change the template. Okay. And what? This says, should be okay. for a while. We don't have weeklies, so therefore I got to revert back to the monthlies. I'm not thinking, again, I'm not thinking like, way up here at this moment. I'm not thinking 117. Somewhere in there, if you go back on the daily, or maybe we even have to do weekly, we have a no-fly zone. But at the bare minimum, this seems to be a resistance area. So I'm thinking maybe even 112, right? Maybe get another 100 pips out of this and then get out. But even then, we're on the daily 55. And one might assume that this would have a down before it up before the down. So I have to consider now, do I take profit or not? Well, one trick we can do is move it below today's current low. Because on a different time frame, that's obviously a lower low. So I can lock in, I didn't even see how many pips that was. And then I think what I'll do is sort of up in here, it makes sense. Maybe 111, 90. That's 183 pips. Take profit there. John says, do I expect the BOJ policy statement to move yen pairs? Well, first of all, yeah, right. It's yen related. It's Bank of Japan. Why wouldn't it? Now, to what degree? Well, I don't often see new policies coming out of the BOJ. They're pretty rare. So if there was a new policy, it would shock the market and, you know, the monkey will scream. But most likely, no significant change or announcement will be made, and we just kind of move on.com. So once again, even though all the yens are weak, I'm not expecting them to stay weak. That's why I'm already looking to take profit. On a swing trade, 200, 250, 300, they're not big trades. So I have a certain expectation, right? So I'm not trying to get 1,000 pips here. A couple of hundred pips, be happy with that. Get out at the extremes, walk away, live to trade another day, right? So policy statement, I wouldn't expect a major policy statement. But if there was, let's say there's something shocking, if the yen gets super strong, I already have stops in place, so I will make money. If the yen gets strong and all my trades collapse, I make a pretty decent amount of money. I make thousands of dollars. Great. If they make a policy change that is unexpected and it weakens the yen, I will also make thousands of dollars. I would just make thousands of dollars more. Well, that's cool too, right? But I don't expect any of that. So I think this will just kind of shizzle out, right? No big deal is what I'm saying. Forget about it. So that's how I'm looking at this one technically. I'm dropping out of the weeklies. I'm looking at the monthlies. I'm just looking at old price action, resistance, near a monthly pivot, blah, 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 blah. Also, we're getting ready for next month, aren't we? I mean, isn't April basically dead? I mean, I live in the future. I don't live in the now. I never have. I'm always living in the future. I guess it's my entrepreneurial blood. So I'm already in May and June. I mean, like April is so ancient history. It just happens to be April now. I'm like, but aren't we done with it? Aren't we already on the next trades? So that's kind of how I feel as well. And then I'm on the stupid Aussie, and it was one of these things. Like I took it because it was a psych level, but I didn't have the same expectations for this pair. And you can see, I got that right. Right. There. I had an opportunity to get out, but I'm like, whatever. And it's come all the way back down. So I don't know. It better giddy up if I'm going to go to the next round. This is the 618, right? So if it drops below this 200, I should probably get out, right? But right now I can't lose. What am I going to do? Lock in 20 pips profit? What? So I'll let it run. I'm in a can't lose scenario. So if I'm going to win, I might as well win big. Hey, how's the coffee this morning? Ah, life is great, life is grand, life is good. So, like I did on the other pairs, um, well, first of all, it looks like the weeklies were respected a lot better on this pair than other pairs. But I'm gonna change the template and throw in some monthlies. Okay. And it topped out sort of, I would imagine, price action top-ish, right? It didn't quite get to 84. So it's like it's not really got anything going on here. So I'm hoping this turns the corner and we make a higher high and it goes from 83.30 to 84.40. So I need it to go up another 100 pips, you know. But if it's going to go to up there, how do I want to treat this? We'll find the bottom for the month. Well, the bottom of the month is here. Okay. So S2, I mean, that's an M3, right? But so maybe back to the central pivot. Who knows? But isn't this a great lesson to go back and look at this and see how we hit our monthly target in the second and third week of the month? And it did immediately, reject the bears. Or to say it differently, there was a lot of reasons for the bears to get out. Okay. Look at this though. Dang, that's beauty. What that tells me is I'm going to get knocked out of break even. I might just get another chance though based on this cycle. All right, so higher high should still have a higher low. I'm on a pivot. I'm on a moving average. Uh, I'm in sort of, I guess it's a 618 if I recall correctly. So this is supposed to cycle up and give me a higher high. If it doesn't, I'll probably get it back to R2 and then head and shoulders the thing. So either way, there should be a couple more drops of blood in there for me. Well, go ahead and ask, Peter. Kiwi, another dog with fleas, huh? I'm not sure why we have this heading up. I guess it's just we must have been talking about a gap up to resistance, back down to roll reversal, and then up. But clearly, the market's not very bullish, huh? It looked like it did everything it needed to do to get the bulls on board, and yet it failed. Yeah, that's not mine, Joseph. Okay. So you have to ask yourself, what do you want to do with this? What's your goal? Okay. This almost looks like I've pitchforked everything, huh? Oh, and another thing to notice about this, down to the down to the monthly target, immediately stopped. It's interesting, isn't it? Okay. Straight down, hit the target. I mean, within what, 1 or 2 pips? Stop. All right. Here's the consolidation. Higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. Interesting. Then rolling over in this old congestion. But some could still want to buy it, take it north next week. You better have the fundamental reason, right? Yeah, yeah. Every broker is regulated by some entity, and every entity would have different rules and regulations. Yeah, Charles says that it's pretty abrupt, stop here that you may want to come down first before heading back up. Yeah, that's pretty realistic as well. But the most aggressive move would be, you know, a higher high after this. Okay. You better have your reasons. And I think we were talking about this specifically about Kiwi yesterday. You better have your reasons, right? Somebody said they saw on TV or something like that Kiwi was supposed to go up. That that language bothers me. But if you have pretty decent fundamental reasons why, then technically it should fulfill itself when the timing is right. And then CAD is also a dog with fleas, right? It seems to be beating the yen anyways. Amazing, huh? Now, what did you learn about gapping? Okay, that's where we opened, or I should say closed, right? Here's where we opened. What are some of the assumptions that you can take away from the way the market behaved this week on this currency pair, despite the unusual conditions in the market? Despite all of that, what's your takeaway? Well, cash says the gap will fill, but when does it fill is cash's confusion. Well, what you don't want to do is wait like 5 days and you're like, oh, we're still going to close the gap. No, it's generally fairly quick. Okay. And by fairly quick, I mean in the first couple of hours. But in extreme gaps often take time, right? So like a lot of my trades, I bought the first pop, right? Right? You got the pop, the drop. I bought, a lot of these. Now, I didn't buy CAD because I don't think CAD's going to go up. Right? I mean, it's just right. That's why you have a bias. I had to pick. All right. So I longed the beast first. Why? I thought the pound would go up, but I didn't buy euro. Why? I think euro sucks. Now, when the ECB tapers, I'll probably be a buyer of euro, but that ain't today. So anyway, so I looked at this. I didn't want to buy it, right? I had this opportunity, didn't want to buy it. But notice that the gap did fill. This is the exact, area. It did fill. Notice it's not a weekly pivot. It's not a monthly pivot. It's lower than a psych level. The psych level's several pips higher. It's literally filling the gap, and then somebody had a long order. They saw the gap Sunday night in New York and placed an order. Or more likely, there's an algorithm on a set of PCs somewhere that says if it gaps significantly, put a buy order at Friday's close. That's more likely what's actually happening. Well, cash, I just said, it usually fills in a couple of hours. So a 4 hour and a daily would be irrelevant. On those time frames, you wouldn't even notice a gap. So usually a gap is like, 40 or 50 pips, not 200 pips. There's a difference. No, and nor should you expect it, right? And I was pretty clear. I didn't even consider buying the euro. Didn't even want to look at it. What I'd much rather do is sell euro dollar, but buy euro yen, forget about it. What a disgusting, filthy thought. Blah. Okay. And of course, only an amateur trader would say, "Oh, it gapped, so it's supposed to fill, so we're gonna boom," and then you just sell it. I mean, again, it's sort of like the language of like, "Hey, I read in the newspaper that the kiwi is supposed to go up." Wow, really? Yeah, yeah, Charles. I believe on Monday I laughed about it. Like, I wouldn't buy the euro. See, why would I not buy the euro even on like amazing, I guess, French news? Why wouldn't I say, "Oh my God, I gotta buy a euro"? Yeah, because bears don't buy. And also, I don't get all jazzed on the hype. Like, what was the likelihood Le Pen was going to have a victory in French politics? What was it, 18%? It's just, I don't get hyped. I just don't get hyped. So the long shot didn't win. That's amazing. Right? Communist pig dog didn't win. Okay, fine, great. That's amazing. That's so shocking. That is a relief to the market, especially if you had prepared for the worst. Maybe people had some gambling for that, which is great. So now they get out of that, which is great. So WWWD, what would Wayne do? Prepare to sell high. Let's sell the euro high. Why? Because I'm a bear, and I don't buy into the hype. I'm in control. I thought I was clear about that on Monday, but maybe I wasn't. Apparently not. But I thought I laughed at the euro on the gaps, and then I showed you I was long all these other pairs making money. Then I thought I said I would never even consider euro. But it's one of these things. Perception creates reality, or recall creates reality. If you don't remember it, then it didn't happen. And it's too bad. Then you need to ask more questions, right? Because I don't know. It's so sometimes to me it's obvious, and maybe it wasn't obvious, but I'm not a bull on euro. I haven't been a bull on euro in years and years and years. So why would I buy it after a French election? I wouldn't. That's not what a bear does. So much rather sell it. Yeah. Now tell you what, I think the key to Europe is oil prices rising. If we can sustain oil prices above, I mean, I guess what you need is for it to go up from where it is now. So if we can get to 65 or 70 and hold it there for several months or even a year, then what we'll do is what we'll start to see inflationary data in European results in economic data, which then would look positive and give the ECB enough to say they don't need so much extraordinary, you know, easy monetary policy in play, so they would have to scale back on that, and that's when the euro would get strong. But I'm not quite certain we're going to get to that world soon. Or to say it differently, probably probably not for a while, huh? Yeah. Well, just remember, like Ryan's talking about the OPEC deal. Now they did sign a deal. Remember that. But oil inventories are even higher. But the reason for that is going into the agreement, they knew that the OPEC countries knew they were going to have to agree, right, or be doomed. So what they did is they pumped absolutely as much oil as they possibly could going into it. So it's like agreeing to cut 10% of your production after you've increased your production by 10%, right? So nothing's happened is all I'm saying. But that's actually what happened, right? Yeah, and everybody makes a big deal about the shale. Okay, shale, fine. But we're also turning on, you know, 10 rigs a week or something like that, aren't we? I haven't looked it up in a while. Do you guys spend much time on the researching oil? clicked on the wrong link. Well, for this data, you look at this website. April 21st, 857 rigs. 10, yeah, there you go. Up 10 rigs week over week. 400. So get this, there's 857 rigs in the Gulf of Mexico right now. Okay. I don't know if you think that's a lot or not a lot, but 426 of them have been turned on in the last, year over year. So double. We have twice as many now than last year. Amazing, isn't it? And yet there's 42 less internationally. How interesting, huh? Okay. You guys ever go to the Energy Information Administration? It's a great source of information, just fantastic amounts of information. And if you use it with the supply and demand issues, it helps you understand supply and demand of not just the United States, but global macroeconomics. Okay. They also send out weekly updates. It's over here, but I'm going to show you this first. There's the oil. Neat, huh? It's not all oil though, it's energy. Cool, right? You could totally get into this. Okay. So right in here you see there's a lot of oil. This is Pennsylvania, otherwise known as the Penn State or Quaker State. You've heard of Pennzoil, right? Quaker State oil. This is where oil in the United States was discovered back around the Civil War. It was actually before the Civil War, but it wasn't really in serious production until about the Civil War. But the Civil War actually was a key catalyst for the demand for rock oil. That's why it's called oil and not petroleum, right? Because back then you had things like vegetable oil, but to create light, you used lamps fueled by whale oil. So then there's the stuff that came out of the ground when refined. You could do things like set it on fire. And what was it? Rock oil. So anyways, that all came from here because in this part of Pennsylvania, it actually bubbled up out of the ground. The Native Americans in this region, the Indians in this region, would actually use it to waterproof their canoes and the roofs of their homes and stuff. Okay, but when the Civil War started to happen in the mid 1800s in the United States, the North took control of all the the whaling ships that would go out and collect oil off the coast of Boston and New York and all that kind of stuff, right? Took control of all those whaling ships for the war effort. So suddenly, people, needed an alternative to whale oil. So a little thing called kerosene was refined out of this rock, stinking rich, illuminated America. And at the same time, oil in this area was discovered and started production. You had Baku in Azerbaijan, and a couple of families you may have heard of, the Nobels, as in the Nobel Prize, and the Rothschilds were making money in Baku in Azerbaijan on the Caspian Sea. And meanwhile, Rockefeller was making his fortunes off of this oil. And then later, you'll see out in this area, you have Cushing, Oklahoma. Down here, you got Texas. And all in here is all the rigs. So anyways, a little history lesson. Then you can go here. And this stuff can actually be emailed to you. You can look at oil inventories and get nice charts and stuff. Okay, this is actually price data. They send out a short-term energy outlook. Oops. Come on, Mozilla, don't fail me now. It's not the chart I wanted. Anyways, you have to get it right. Do you know the other major website that you should be tracking for this industry? Oh, I could probably get it here. Yeah, OPEC. That's fine. But what's the Western world's answer to OPEC? When OPEC was created and suddenly they had power, right? What did the Europeans and Americans do to counteract OPEC's power? Yeah. Come on. Oops. Did I just type that in? The International Energy Agency. Another great source of information if you're a global macro trader like myself. right? Just lots of really interesting information, of course, reports and all this kind of stuff released on a regular basis. Anyways, these browsers are giving me tons of problems. I think it's Adobe Air is messing everything up. But anyways, so there's a couple of places for you to go to get your data. Remember, you don't have to look at it just as oil. And you might say to yourself, well, I'm not an oil trader, so I don't care. Well, it it's more than that. It's sort of like I can't think of a colorful analogy, but let's just say it's important to know if the world is demanding energy because of all the factories are humming, or they don't demand energy, which means the factories are not running at full capacity or even being shut down. And so it's a bellwether for economic activity globally. Okay, so I've made another $400 while we're doing the webinar, and I think some of these yens are going to take off. So like Beast is heading up now, and I might even get knocked out for profit here. Oh no, 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 no. Dang, I'm knocked out for 222 pips, was it? Oh well. So yeah, that's why you should care because oh wow, I'm up $600 for the webinar now. Sweet. So that puts me at about 10% for the month. That's good. I think Aussie's coming up to support. You guys watching that? Aussie dollar. Yeah, we'll get off of this. We'll just kind of look at. Let's just go look at the rest of our normal routine. So once again, yeah, if you're not reading reports like that, you're not a complete currency trader. So anyways, gold having a whole hum week, still not doing much, no major move yet, but maybe a breakdown. So today will be interesting. WTI, WTF, WTI still in support, nothing really happening. Be interesting if this moves sideways and gets held down by the 21, and then this becomes overbought. You can get ready for a drop down to this